Hello again, everyone. This video is dedicated to volume of a prism. So we have some formulas that we need to go over. It's kind of a generic formula for volume of a prism. It's a capital B times a capital H. So capital B will represent the area of the base, and H represents the height of the prism. So even though it's a generic formula here, that formula you'll see as we go through the examples is going to change depending on what our base is. So something to note too is prisms are named by the shape of their base. So if we look through our examples here, we're going to go through, this is one type of prism. And then here are two more. So if we go through the naming first, the name of the first prism is called a triangular prism because it's, the first one is a rectangular prism, whoops. And that's because the base shape is a rectangle. So this is a rectangular prism. So we can take a look as we go through the example because we have a lot of different rectangles in this first prism. So it might be hard to identify where the base is. And as we go through, you'll see it actually doesn't matter. Let's go through and name the other ones just while we're here. Take a guess at what the base is, and note that the base is not always at the bottom of the shape. A lot of people think it's whatever side that this shape is quote unquote sitting on, but that's not necessarily the base. With that being said too, I'm going to call this one here a triangular prism because our base is actually this front side here, which is going to be a triangle. So this one's called a triangular prism. All right, last one. So very, very similar to the one up above it. And again, we're going to name it a triangular prism because we have the top, the front and the back, so to speak, are the triangles. So those will be considered the base of our shape. All right, so let's go back to the beginning now that we've named them all. And let's try to figure out where the base is for our first problem so we can start calculating the volume. So it doesn't matter which one of these faces of our shape, which one of these sides that you want to consider the base to be. A lot of people really for a rectangular prism generally choose the top and the bottom to be the base, which is completely fine. Even though it's not necessary, you could kind of switch it up and do the top and the bottom, the front and the back, the left, the right. I mean, completely up to you. For a rectangular prism, it does not matter which side is the base. So just for argument's sake, I'm just going to choose the base as, I'll outline it here. I'm going to choose this as my base, in which case if I'm going to try to find the area of this rectangle here, so volume is area of the base times the height of the prism. The area of my base, a rectangle, is found by multiplying 12 by 15, base times height. Then height, the capital H here, has to do with the height of the prism. So the height of the prism is the difference between the two faces. So if my faces are going to be this bottom here and then this top part that's parallel to it, if these are going to be our faces, well then the height of the prism is going to be the part that connects them. So in our case here, the height of the prism is 6. So if we take our calculators out now and we multiply that all together, the area of the base is going to be 180 square inches. The height of our prism is 6. So if I multiply that by 6, I get that our volume here is 1,080 cubic inches. So remember when we're talking about area, it's measured in square units. Volume is measured in cubic units. So whatever our unit is, in our case, inches here, and then it's just cubed. All right, one example down. Let's take a look at our next one. So like I said before, we're going to start out with the same formula. Volume is equal to area of the base times the height. We just have to figure out what our base is. We learned before that we're going to name this prism off of whatever the shape of the base is. And since our base is a triangle, I'm going to identify this triangle here. And then I just have to figure out how do I find the area of that. So go back to your formula sheet from the other day if you need to. Area of a triangle is going to be base 1/2 of the base times the height. So 1/2 of the base of our triangle is a 2.5. The height of our triangle is 7. So if I multiply that all together, 7 times 2.5 is 17.5. If I find half of that, that's going to give me 8.75. So the area of just this piece is 8.75 square inches. Okay, and then I just need to multiply that now by the height of our prism. So the height of the prism, again, is the difference between the two faces. So if my faces are going to be these, oops, that was the wrong tool. Try that again. If our faces are these triangles here, then the height of the prism is going to be the difference between them. So the distance between them is 12 units long. So I'm going to take my area of the base and I'm going to multiply it by 12. So area of the base was 8.75, multiply that by 12, and I get the volume of this triangular prism is 105 centimeters cubed. Keep in mind, volume is measured in cubic units. All right, I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. That was a little too sloppy. All right, let's look down at our next example. So again, very, very similar concept. We're still looking at a triangular prism here. The only difference is that we aren't looking at a right triangular prism. We had a right angle in our first example here. Here we don't have that right angle, but we do still know the height of the triangle. It's given to us over to the side here. So we'll be using that dimension as we go to calculate the area of the triangle. All right, so volume formula first. Highly recommend you write out the formula to start with and then show me what you're plugging in where. When we go to calculate the area of the base, again, that's 1/2 of our base times our height. So the base, we're looking at this triangle right here, of which the base of the triangle is going to be 4. And the height of the triangle is 6. Okay. So that 7 was there to trick us. All right, we don't actually need that here. So hopefully nobody falls for it. Our base and our height, remember, are always going to be perpendicular to one another. So that 7 was not necessary. If I try to find the area now of the triangle or our base, we get that that's 12 square units. Centimeters squared, right? Because that's 1/2 times 4 times 6 will give us 12. So again, this is my other base. My height of my prism is going to be the distance between those bases. So for us, that's going to be 12 units again. So if I multiply 12 by 12, I get 144. And here again, I'm looking at centimeters cubed as my final answer. All right, so here's just 3 examples of how do you find the volume of different prisms, and that's what we're going to be practicing first. Thank you for watching.